good to be back in the house of the Lord today. I feel what we've already felt here today. Just filling out the Spirit, feeling different directions, maybe where to go today. Been had something on my mind since yesterday. Called my brother here yesterday and told him a little bit what I was feeling, and was talking to my wife on the way over about what I was feeling. And I felt the feeling about the Lord talking to me about a pillar in the house of the Lord, and what it is to be a pillar in the house of the Lord. So I began to meditate this morning to begin to fill out the Lord, and thinking about, well, what's way to go. And I began to study. And the more I got studying, the more I felt God in this. And maybe we can just look at some scriptures this morning. I got so many things marked here. But let's just go over here to Revelations 3 and 12. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of God, of my God. And he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of God, which is new, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven, for my God. And I will write him with a new name. There's different types of pillars in the house of God. There's different things we have to be a pillar in the house of God. God adds us in, but He needs also, when He adds us into the church, He needs pillars in the house. And in them pillars, I don't believe that a pillar is just to come and to set, but to be a good pillar in the house of God, it's when you begin to go to work in the house of God. And you begin. That's what makes a pillar. It's not just a pillar, just not someone that will come and sit down. When a pillar is somebody that not only will come, but they'll get right to work, and they won't have to be asked what to do, but they'll begin to see things that need to be done around the church. That's one thing that a pillar will do. And that's when you become a good pillar, is when you come in, you start learning, and you realize, hey, you know what? This needs to be done. And you get up and you start doing it. You don't have to be told. That's when you become a pillar. When you're faithful to the house of God, and you come every time the door is open, that's a pillar in the house of God. It's somebody that comes every time the church door is open. The only time that a person will miss if they're on vacation, or if they're sick, or they've had a death in their family, that's when there's time that people will miss. But a good pillar in the house of God will come, and they will be in church every time the door is open. No matter if it's at midnight that you get out, you're still here because you're faithful. You're faithful to the Word of God. You're faithful to the church. That makes a good pillar this morning. And in 1 Timothy 3:15 talks about a pillar. Keep on going back to Revelations. But if I tarry long, that thou might miss mysteries, know how they honest to be behaving themselves in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, and the pillar ground of the truth. There's ways that we have to act when we come to church. There's ways that we have to be. We can't be, not paying attention. We've got to pay attention when we come to the house of God. That makes a pillar. When you come and you pay attention, you're not worried about being on the phone, worried about Facebooking, worried about doing things, but you're concentrating. You're hearing what the Lord is saying. Now I know that sometimes as ministers we do have our phones with us, but we're constantly looking up scriptures and stuff because the Lord is working with us, You know, and I always want to make sure that when I get up to talk, that's how I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at the scriptures, making sure my notes and stuff, because I carry a lot of notes in my phone. I have a lot of notes there. But I'm just using that as an example. We've got to be concentrated when we come into the house of God. We've got to be concentrated. That's what a pillar is. It's being concentrated on the things of God, not worried about the things outside, not worried about our phones, not worried about what we're doing, but concentrating on what the Lord has us to say. That makes a pillar, you know. Not only it makes a pillar, but there's let me look at my note real quick. I don't like the phone when it goes all over the place, but some notes I had made here. Solid, dependable, supportive. Not easy moved with every wind and doctrine. Not easily offended. That's the qualifications of a pillar. We don't get offended real quick. We stay put, you know. Some people, again, they come in, they get offended real easy. Don't let everything bother you when you come to church. Don't get upset about every little thing. You know, sometimes, you know, I know in the past growing up, I used to get upset with my spiritual father. You know, when I didn't realize he was planting me in the house of God. But I'd get upset with him, and sometimes I would want to just bang him in the face. Why did you say that? You just hit me hard. Why? But he was doing that. God was allowing him to do that stuff, teaching us to plant us, you know, to plant us deeper. So after a while, I learned, you know what? Why get upset? You know, I'll just go back. I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to go back. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to listen. And if I don't agree with everything, I'm going to put it up there, and I'll bring it down when the Lord has me to bring it down to understand, you know. But sometimes I feel like in the house of God, we get upset sometimes. We get easily offended. We easily get moved because somebody says something. You know, I remember several years back, and I told this story back here in the back recently, about a dear sister, well, a dear old Baptist preacher's wife that was a strong pillar in the church there. It had been for many years. Her husband, you know, had been the pastor there for many years. And she had always sat on the circuit pew. And you know what happened one Sunday? She came to church. Somebody was sitting in her pew. She got so offended that she left and didn't go back. You know what that showed me? She wasn't a deep pillar in the house of God. If she had been, she wouldn't have let that bother her. But she had allowed that to move her out, so she got upset. She allowed that to happen, and she stayed out of church after that, because she wouldn't go back. She did go back, I think it said one time, and that person was still sitting in her pew. So she didn't bother with it. You know what happened? She let that hinder her. But she wasn't a strong pillar in the house of God. Being faithful, being loyal, being preserving. You know, you got to be all them things. You know, for faithfulness, 1 Corinthians 4:12 tells us, I can find the book papers, brother. And a laborer work with our own hands, being revealed, we bless, being pursued, and we suffer it. You know, sometimes being faithful like that, we have to suffer. You know, being faithful, sometimes we have to suffer through that. Sometimes being a pillar, we don't want to get up on Sunday morning. We want to stay in that bed. We want to sleep a little bit longer. How many of y'all sometimes do that on Sunday morning? The alarm clock will go off. Yeah, I'm guilty of it too. You know, me and my wife are both guilty of that sometimes on Sunday morning. No, it was actually, she beat me up this morning. I will say that. To make that clear, she did beat me up this morning. I had already been up before that. But still, sometimes being faithful. We don't want to get up out of that bed. But we know that if we got to get up, we know that that's a requirement. We have to be faithful to be a pillar in the house of God. And to be loyal. We got to be loyal. Loyalty means 1 Corinthians 12 and 38 tells us. First Chronicles 12:38. I'm sorry. My little. Yes, it is. I want to be planted in the house of God. All these men of war that could keep rank came up with a perfect heart to make David king over all Israel, and the rest of Israel was one heart to make David the king. Huh? Yeah. I don't think that was. To me, I don't think that goes there. I don't know why I put that. All men was at war with to keep ranks. A loyal heart. They was loyal to making King David the king. You know, we have to be loyal as a pillar to our pastor. You know, we have to be loyal to him. We can't, to be a pillar, we can't go around and say, you know what, Brother Manrrique, he don't have it right. He's not right. He's way off. You know. No, we need to be loyal when we're talking to another minister. Always raise up your pastor to another minister. That's when you become a good pillar. It's when you're not talking about your pastor no more, running him down. But instead of talking about him, you're the minister, you're lifting him up. You know, that's your loyalty, is to lift up a minister, to lift up the pastor. You know, whatever minister's up here, you need to lift them up. You need to be loyal to them. You don't need to be talking about them behind their back. You know, several years back, you know, I was in a meeting, and I'm not going to say where it was at. You know, it was here in the valley. And I walked out, and one of our leaders had just got finished talking, one of the elders. And I walked back there, and some pillars that had been in the church all them years was back there. And you know what I caught them young people doing? They was back there making fun of that elder. They was mocking him for his size and the size he was. And I thought how wrong that was for them to be planted there, but to be out there talking about a man that was planted and careful. You know, I love to, you know, God's planted some pillars in this assembly. You know, He planted some hard pillars in this assembly. Sister Vasquez is one of the first pillars probably of this assembly, and she's been faithful. She's strong, you know. She'll still get in that kitchen, and guess she shouldn't, because she's earned her way, you know, around here. She's earned her due, you know. She don't have to be in that kitchen no more helping out, because she's earned that way. You know, she's kept the doors here open. She's been faithful, and she's been a pillar set in this assembly, you know. But there's things to be helped in the kitchen, she's there. She's helping pass out plates and stuff. Same way with Sister Linda here. She gets up on Sunday morning, and the first thing she thinks about is feeding God's people. That's part of being a pillar. She thinks about, you know, what's she going to prepare, what's she going to take to feed God's people, you know. And she'll do that automatically. She don't have to be asked to do it. She don't have to be told to do it, because she automatically does it. Not because she's the pastor's wife. No, because God put that in her heart. God has made her a pillar in the house of God. You know, she'll come in, her and Sister Sylvia and different ones, and they'll start cleaning. Thursday night, I watched the pillars work Thursday night. They started taking out the trash bags. They started throwing out trash. They started working back there, getting things ready. That's pillars. You know, it can come in and work. You know, you don't have to be told sometimes. Come in and do it. That's why, you know, my wife always says, well, I don't understand why you always worry about this and that when you go to church. It's because it's natural. it comes to me natural. When God adds us, it comes to us natural as pillars. I don't mind coming in. I may complain sometimes, but I don't mind coming in and doing the things I know it has to be done. You know, if I see something that I know that needs to be done, I'm going to try to do it if I can do it, because I know it's my responsibility. But a good pillar in the house of God is not just coming to church and just being here on Sunday or being here on Thursday nights, but coming in and doing whatever it needs to be done to work right and to be a pillar in the house of God. That's what he's looking for this morning. Is he's looking for some pillars this morning that he wants to put in. Some solid pillars in this. Some solid pillars. Because you know what? Pillars in the house of God, saints in the house of God, and the old pillars. You know what happens? Eventually they'll go off to their reward. And God's got to have another pillar planted in the assembly to take on their responsibilities. To take on helping out and helping lift the pastor up and his wife up. You know, every day I pray for our pastor here and his wife. I lift them up before the Lord. You know, we all should lift them up to the Lord every day, asking God to keep them and to help us to be a pillar in the house of God. So, I mean, I can go deeper into this, but I want to keep some room for Brother Eli, Brother Manrrique, you know, because I know he can teach it a little bit deeper than I can. But that's what I was explained to as a kid, of how to be a pillar in the house of God. You know, it's wonderful, you know, to be a pillar and to work around the church. You know, it should be all our desire to be here, and I want to work and be a pillar. You know, sometimes I don't like to take correction. You know, sometimes I might talk back at you, Brother Manrrique. I haven't done it yet, okay? So if I do, you know, I slap me back. That's okay. I ain't worried about that. But I'm just saying sometimes we don't need to get hurt. If the pastor preaches something we don't like, because the minister says something you don't like, don't get offended, saints. Don't get offended. Take it. Learn from it. And God will plant you deeper and deeper as a pillar. You know, he's looking for pillars, solid pillars, that's going to work in the house of God. That's not just going to not work, but going to want to work for the house of God. If you've got a voice that you need to sing, or if you know how to play something, be a pillar in the house of God and play and sing, you know. There's all types of pillars in the house of God. You know, maybe you don't have one of these callings as part of the fivefold ministry of the teachers and evangelists and ministers and prophets and pastors. Maybe you don't have a gift, but we all got a gift of some type to work in the house of God. You know, maybe sometimes, you know, if you're disabled, but you know what? One of them things that a pillar does. Another thing is he's a prayer warrior. You know, there's some saints here, let me tell you, that pray. They pray daily. Brother Vasquez back there. Brother Nick, I'm sorry I went blank. You know, he prays. He prays every morning. He prays over all their names. That's a good, solid pillar in the house of God. You know, that's good, you know. So I'm just thankful this morning to be a pillar, to be here in this church. You know, I will share with y'all. I was sharing this with my wife this morning. Share with him a little bit. I'm encouraging the saints that I had at one time in San Benito. I'm encouraging them to come to Sebastian and to get behind Brother Eli and work behind him and help him out. You know, I'm encouraging them that. You know, because there's no room for two churches, I feel like, anymore. Because they're 13 miles apart. They need to come to Sebastian. So I'm working on it. I'm telling them, come to Sebastian. Come to Sebastian. So they know that we're here. So they know where to come. You know. And if they're true pillars of God and they really was planted right, they'll come. If they're not, they won't come. You know, so I just want to be a pillar that's planted in the house of God. I want to be a strong pillar You know, my granddaddy was a very strong pillar in the house of God there in Cisco for over 50 years. A very strong pillar. Her and my grandmother worked together. A strong pillar of young people growing up with my mother and my aunt. And they became really strong pillars. And when they couldn't go, they was praying. They asked the Lord to touch the church, you know. And I appreciate that. I appreciate my inheritance, my family, you know, they all was pillars. Most of them was big pillars in the house of God. And I appreciate them. I appreciate all the years that they spent, you know, being pillars in the house of God, working in the house of God. Thank God for my great-grandma and grandpa. You know, I thank God for them. Because of what they did, they laid a foundation for my granddaddy and my aunts. And that foundation has continued on down. It's learning, as we've all learned how to be a pillar in the house of God. My aunt's always telling me on the phone, hey, are you working around the church or are you just sitting there preaching? No, I'm working, Aunt TK. I'm working in Geneva. I know what to do. That's what makes the pillars, is to be a pillar that wants to just work. So let's work together. Let's work and help build this thing up. Let's build this sure foundation. If we'll work together, this will be built on it's built on a sure foundation. It won't fail. But let's work together to edify the body of Jesus Christ, to edify Brother Manrrique, to edify this assembly, to edify Brother Manrrique and Sister Manrrique, and lift them up. They need to be lifted up. Pillars got to help lift up the ministry. Pray for the ministry here as we work together, trying to help build something with y'all. We want to build a garner for the people of Sebastian to run to and have a place they can come to and find relief and find strength, you know. But when they get here, they got to find pillars ready to help them and to help them along with the pastor. There was no song we used to sing out there, and I don't know the words. I don't even think we have the words to it. Just to be a pillar in the house of God. I like that song. And it says something about just to be a pillar in the house of God. I think it was worth it all, or something like that. Well, I'm just thankful to be here working, and I want to work right, and I want to work faithfully, you know. So, yes, sometimes the 40, I don't know if it's 45 minutes. I don't know exactly. It just takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get here from Brownsville. But you know what? Every mile we make, it's worth it. You know what? I could go there in Brownsville. I could go there. And it's easy for me to just go to church there. But no, I'm desiring to go up higher. So that's why we come. You know, we want to go up higher with God. You know, I'm no longer, I'm 40 years old now. I don't want to be stuck. What I done as a child, I have to put away. The Bible says when I'm a child, I put away, when I'm a child, I put away my childish things. You know, when I'm a child, when I became a man, I put away my childish things. My mind went brain. So I'm putting away my childish things. And now it's the time to work. Now it's the time to be a pillar in the house of the Lord.
Amen.